Hello and welcome back everybody to another World of Warcraft gold farming video. So in this video I'm going to be evaluating how profitable the Deadmines can be. So there are two main methods of farming this. I'll go over method 2 in a bit, which is a bit more complicated, but method 1 is the simple old-fashioned traditional method of just entering the dungeon, clearing all of the trash and all the bosses up into the last part of the dungeon, exiting the dungeon, vendoring what you don't need and basically keeping what you need, either disenchanting the greens and stuff and putting it up on the auction house, or just selling any of the other stuff that you make. So with this method, you'll be getting a bunch of wool cloth and linen cloth, and especially if you have tailoring, you will get a bonus to that. You'll also be getting a bunch of Parrot Cage green Wing Macaws, which are these companions that have a quite high chance of dropping. I usually get about one every dungeon, probably a bit less than that. And you'll be getting some Blackened Defias gear if you're very lucky. So approximately it takes me about 5 minutes and 30 seconds to do one run. So in total, that's about 1 hour until I hit the instance limit. And as for the gold breakdown, I am using global market value prices, and in vended gold, I basically vended everything, including the greens and the blues. I didn't bother disenchanting those, and the enchanting materials are not very profitable on my server. So in total, in the vended gold, I got 27 gold. I looted 259 linen cloth for 34 silver each at 88 gold. I got 256 wool cloth at 46 silver each at 118 gold. I got 6 Parrot Cage green Wing Macaws at 303 gold and 28 silver each for 1,820 gold in total. And I got 1 Blackened Defias gloves which sell for 5,412 gold. So in total, I made 7,465 gold. So those are my results from this farm for doing this for 1 hour. So there are disadvantages and advantages to doing it this method. The main disadvantages are that although these Parrot Cage green Macaws do sell decently on some servers, you will get a bunch of these. I got 6 within an hour, so I done 10 runs and I got 6. And of course I can sell these. I can probably sell one every about 1 day or 2 days. However, since I do have 6 of them, it is going to be quite a pain to sell these on the auction house without actually flooding the auction house. So it will take some patience to sell these. It will probably take me maybe a week or 2 depending on your economy to sell these. So that's an issue. Also, it's very heavily dependent on the Defias gear drop. So if I didn't actually get the Defias gloves, which I was actually quite lucky in getting this time, the total gold per hour from this farm, instead of being 7,465 gold, it would have gone down to about 2,000 gold per hour, which is not very good. So there's definitely a heavy RNG element to that. So the main advantage of doing it this way is that you do get a lot of cloth. So if you are a low level tailor and you don't want to buy wool cloth and linen cloth off the auction house, if it's expensive on your server for some reason, which it shouldn't really be, then you can get a bunch of free wool and linen cloth from this farm and you can level up your tailoring. You can also use those items that you create using tailoring, those greens, to disenchant, and you can use that to level up your enchanting. So you will get a bunch of low level enchanting materials such as strange dust, magic essences and glimmering shards from the greens and the blues, of course, that the bosses and the trash drops on this dungeon. So you will get enchanting materials, but that's about it for the advantages of this farm. It's only really good if you're trying to level up your professions. Other than that, gold making for this method is not very decent. So going on to method 2, we're mainly going to be focusing on the Blackened Defias gloves and the Blackened Defias leggings from the Defias Overseers. Now these Defias Overseers are 2 neutral mobs that you can find after the second boss of the dungeon. And basically there's a weird way of taking advantage of this mechanic. Basically, if you kill one of the Defias Overseers and leave one of them alive, either CCing him or just leaving him there and just not touching him, and you drop combat, then you can loot one of the guy that you basically killed, and then the other one that you killed will respawn magically as long as you keep the second one alive. So if you use that method, if you're a hunter for example, since you can drop combat every 30 seconds with feign death, you can essentially attempt to get these items every 30 seconds as a hunter. You can still do this if you're not a hunter, however it's a lot less efficient. For example, if you're a rogue or for example if you're a night elf, you can actually drop combat every once in a while. For example, night elf can use shadow mode every 2 minutes. However, you still will have to exit the dungeon and then re-enter it to reset the mob. So basically how you do that is you leave one alive, you kill one of them, you loot it, you run all the way to the exit of the dungeon or the entrance, however you want to see it, and that will take you about a minute to get there, and then it will take you about a whole minute back to get to those Defias Overseers and to kill them again. So overall, using that method, you can only attempt to get the items every 2 minutes, which is quite a lot less efficient. So what I do recommend doing is just leveling up a hunter to about level 40. It should only take a few hours these days with heirlooms and everything included. So I highly recommend leveling up a hunter for this if you're serious about making gold for this. However, I have made some statistics to actually try to calculate the gold range for this farm. So the gloves sell for an average about 6,000 gold on most servers, and the leggings sell for about 4,000 gold, and they each have a 2% chance of dropping from the Defias Overseers. So as a hunter, you have an approximately 91% chance of getting at least one item every hour, and your chances of getting 2 items within that same frame of time would be approximately 83%. If you're a non-hunter and you can only attempt to kill these guys every 2 minutes, then the chances of you getting 1 item is about 45% an hour, and 2 items is about 21% every hour. So as for the gold range, since you actually have a 55% chance of getting no items as a non-hunter, that means you actually have a lower than 50% chance of getting any items. So that means the gold range for the minimum side of this farm as a non-hunter would be 0 gold, so you might not get anything. So as for the maximum range, of course you're going to be more likely to hit this number as a hunter, but you will get about 12,000 gold within an hour. Now of course this doesn't necessarily mean that this gold range will apply to everyone. Of course there is still an RNG element to it, and you might get 5 of these gloves within 10 minutes, or you might not get any for hours and hours, so it really depends on your luck. But as for my final thoughts in this farm, it's definitely great for hunters. I wouldn't honestly recommend it for anyone other than a hunter, or if you have some other way of dropping combat at a frequent enough pace, at least around every 30 seconds. Other than that, overall, is it profitable? Yes, it definitely is profitable. It's actually a very good farm as a hunter, as I said before. As a non-hunter, as long as you're using the second method, you can still make a decent amount of gold, however, it's not as much. So, yes, it is profitable overall. But I guess that's the end of this video, guys. Like and favorite if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to see more gold guides like this from me in the future. And until next time, guys, bye!